Passing by the university, I saw Evan cornering a girl in his arms. His eyes red with restrained vulnerability. He whispered, "Don't think I'm dirty." This was supposed to be a straightforward sugar baby arrangement. Why did it feel like I'd defiled Evan? If he felt tainted, plenty of others wouldn't mind. Exhaling cigarette smoke, I turned to the bleach blonde frat boy decked out in counterfeit designer gear. Ask if he wants a sugar mommy. Kyle appeared in my office that afternoon. Sunlight from the 32nd floor windows illuminated his knockoff Balenciaga tee, fake Yohji Yamamoto pants, and counterfeit Louis Vuitton sneakers. Fake. Fake. Still fake. But damn, that face, while Evan had that aloof, principled ice prince vibe. Kyle looked like he'd stepped straight off a soul plastic surgery conveyor belt. Pretty in that cheap, calculating way. After too many filet mignons, sometimes you crave greasy street tacos. If they're both selling, why bother with the reluctant one? He confirmed my instincts immediately. Heard you wanna be my mama? His grin showed perfect veneers. Should I start calling you that now? This kid reeked of ambition. Today he'd want me to bankroll his acting debut. Tomorrow, demand lead roles. Next week, beg me to bury his scandalous headlines. Textbook. Ignoring him, I flipped through the dossier from Secretary Wong. Small-town kid from middle-class parents already better than Evan's alcoholic father and gambling-addicted mom. Mediocre grades. Nowhere near Evan's academic streak. But 5 centimeters taller than Evan. His saccharine smile made me grimace. How many sugar parents before me? Just you. Gorgeous. Bullshit. Secretary Wong will take you for a full STD panel. If clean, come back in a week. You got it. Sis. He bounced out, those suspiciously perky glutes swaying. I actually considered whether he'd stuffed padding. A week later, Evan arrived first. His thrift store button-up and faded jeans screamed struggling honor student. Even took the bus here. Where the hell was my $30,000 monthly allowance going? Don't get me wrong. He wasn't here to see me, usually I had to seek him out. He'd taken a part-time job at the coffee shop beneath my corporate office. As usual, his appearance drew flocks of girls asking for his contact information. Evan refused them all, claiming he already had someone special. In the past, I'd have arrogantly assumed that person was me. After all, I was gorgeous, loaded, and generous, emphasis on the last part. What's the difference between rejecting me and rejecting money? It's not like I demanded some grand romance. We're both adults. After accepting so much from me, withholding even this basic affection felt hypocritical. I strolled inside and claimed a random seat. Evan hadn't noticed me yet. That's when she walked in, a meticulously styled girl radiating old money vibes in her Chanel-inspired tweed set and Miu Miu hair clip. At the university event last time, I hadn't gotten a proper look. Now her face clicked into focus. I mentally scrolled through a list socialites but drew a blank. Evan froze mid-motion, ears flushing crimson. I heard his hesitant murmur, "Are you here for me?" She tilted her chin. Just heard the coffee's decent. If Evan had a tail, it would have drooped. Let me recommend something. He rushed, launching into an absurdly detailed breakdown of every bean origin and tasting note on the menu. Several customers behind her left impatiently. She ignored his spiel, lazily pointing at the house blend. "It's quite bitter," he cautioned with uncharacteristic tenderness. Worlds away from his guarded demeanor around me. No anger surfaced, only confusion. Why didn't he act this way with his actual benefactor? Then it hit me. This idiot probably thought his pure youthful affection balanced the scales against the luxury cars, monthly 6-figure allowances, and properties I gifted him. Men in my family had a tradition of patronage. I'd seen it all: college girls, C-list actresses, professionals. Last month, My uncle nearly fathered a side baby, settling for 3 million. A sugar mommy like me, generous and easy on the eyes? I'm the golden goose. Mutual benefits didn't negate his advantage. I'd overlooked his constant excuses before, tutoring gigs, student council meetings, lab work, even sending homemade soup via chauffeur when he stood me up. Once, my father caught wind and warned, "Don't catch feelings." Everyone mistook my leniency for devotion. The irony choked me. I've had those delusions too. Before I kicked my brother overseas and took over as CEO. I'd never been in a relationship. Not that I wanted one anyway. Bored by the scene, I stood up to leave the cafe. The bell jingled faintly as I exited. I could have sworn the barista glanced my way. That evening, Kyle showed up at my penthouse. Unexpected. His medical report had come back pristine, no abnormalities. Not even a benign cyst. Gone were the tacky logo-covered clothes from last time. Now he wore a plain white tee, faded jeans, and sneakers. The excessive gel had washed out of his hair, dark strands falling carelessly across his forehead. Secretary Juan must have briefed him to emulate Evan's style. I frowned. But before I could speak, he peeled off his shirt. 8 perfectly defined abs stared back at me. Suspiciously symmetrical. "You hate this look, don't you, sis?" He chuckled raspily. "Me too." He closed the distance between us, calloused fingers brushing my wrist. For a heartbeat, I felt like some naive girl getting hustled by a backstreet punk until he plucked the hair tie from my arm. His overgrown locks disappeared into a messy bun. I exhaled. "Hungry?" His grin turned wolfish. "I could cook you noodles." My breath hitched. He watched my housekeeper exit with the trash bag, feigning disappointment. "Guess you already ate." Recognizing the subtext, I hesitated. "Did you need something to?" "Thanks." He beelined for the kitchen, rattling pans. Gotta fuel up before servicing my client properly. 3 heaping bowls of ramen vanished into him like he'd survived a famine. I frowned, recalling his file. This wasn't some starving artist. "There's steak in the fridge." Kyle shook his head, mouth full. "Payment comes after performance." The transactional clarity comforted me. Smart choice, hiring someone fully committed to the job. 30 minutes later, I regretted everything. His citrus shower gel enveloped me as unfamiliarity melted into desperate heat. Between gasps, he kept murmuring filth. "Fuck. You're gorgeous, winning the lottery here. Christ. This is insane." I felt trashy, like some backwater landowner exploiting farmhands. The trashiness lingered till noon next day. I asked desperately, "Did you take something?" "What?" Kyle blinked. 10 pills. Wanted to make sure you had fun last night." "Yeah, right." He didn't take anything. Just lying through his teeth about good service attitude. By 2 p.m., I was wincing as I sat up. Couldn't miss this shareholders meeting. I'd crawl to the office if needed. While dressing, Kyle mumbled, "Sis, could you get me into Hollywood?" My fingers paused on the shirt buttons before I rolled my eyes expertly. "One night and you're already making demands, 10 rounds. He corrected. "That's not the point." His ragdoll cat pretty face crumpled. "But you said you couldn't take any more." I facepalmed. For someone I picked up at UCLA's charity gala, his comprehension skills were tragic. "Wait. Are you even a UCLA student?" Kyle shook his head sheepishly. "Knew it. I'll send you to an Ivy League for clout in 2 years." I lied smoothly. He fidgeted. "Sis, I hate studying." "Right. Just wants red carpet photos." I waved him off, hobbling to my waiting Mercedes where Executive Assistant Evan stood ready. Glancing back, I saw Kyle waving from the balcony, bedhead glowing in sunlight like some Greek Adonis. Also wearing nothing but Calvin Klein boxers. Legend. "Come home early." he shouted. I massaged my temples. God forbid anyone discovers I'm funding this human golden retriever. Evan. Send him the spring collection from Bergdorf's. That boy shouldn't dress in Evan's clean-cut Brooks Brothers style. His current AliExpress designer rags were embarrassing. My assistant blinked before nodding. Post-meeting. I collapsed in my ergonomic chair. Boardroom vultures drained me more than usual, probably the all-nighter. The things we do for pretty distractions. The Harrison family is like most wealthy dynasties. My father and mother had a marriage of convenience, each pursuing their own affairs. They got along surprisingly well, otherwise. There wouldn't be 3 of us siblings, an airhead older brother, a boy-crazy younger sister, and perfect little me. My entire life has been meticulously planned since birth. If I wanted more, I had to seize it myself. And seize I did. But is this truly what I wanted? Maddie. A sudden chill hit my backside. Before I could finish my existential crisis, a head popped out from under the desk. What are you doing? Kyle planted a kiss on my thigh. I stared at him impassively. The flawless face that could grace magazine covers actually flushed crimson for once. He looked bashful yet delivered his line with shameless conviction. I learned this technique this afternoon. Heard all the executives and their assistants are into this kind of play. Such an ambitious trophy boyfriend. Kyle took my silence as consent. Outside the window, clouds drifted lazily across the sky. The real question was, who's keeping whom here? The man genuinely believes he's cut out for Hollywood. 3 hours later, Secretary Wong buzzed through the intercom. Ms. Harrison. Mr. Thompson is here. Hell must have frozen over. Today marked our weekly scheduled meeting time with Evan. His visit shouldn't surprise me. Except he's stood me up half a dozen times already. Plus, it's 11 p.m. Lighting a cigarette. I told the speakerphone. Cancel tonight. Send him home. A beat of silence. I relayed that exact message. He insists on waiting until you're available. Currently, in the conference room next door. I frowned, about to retort, when a certain pretty boy leaned over to steal a drag from my cigarette. His subsequent coughing fit sounded like a dying seal. Hanging up. I sighed. You should quit these. Just as I thought Kyle might actually show concern like a normal human being. He added. Switch to cigars. Way more badass. Ash tumbled onto the marble floor. Get lost. I've got business. Kyle left without protest. His designer jeans swishing. Evan entered wearing his usual white Oxford and faded jeans combo. Yawn. You had me fired. Maddie. His accusatory tone implied I'd personally ordered the coffee shop manager to axe him. Which technically wasn't wrong, the place is mine. Never mind that we've been paying this trust fund baby $5,000 monthly to work, study as a part-time barista. I raised an eyebrow. So? Evan's expression darkened. He remained rigid. Fists clenched at his sides as his tone turned sharp. Did someone at the shop tell you something? Liv is just my junior colleague. I was only doing what any employee should. You can't just fire me over baseless assumptions. You wealthy people always look down on. I cut him off. I'll have the cafe reinstate you. Evan froze mid-sentence, visibly startled by my compliance. That's good. Smiling, I added. Same terms as other interns, $3,000 monthly. Acceptable? His eyes widened as if I'd slapped him. After several seconds of tense silence, he gritted out. Maddie. Stop this nonsense. I already told you, Liv and I aren't dating. I studied him critically. His rough complexion lacked Kyle's luminous glow. His eyes dimmer than Kyle's sparkling ones. His lips weren't as rosy. Nose less defined. Legs shorter. Abs softer, and let's not mention his clumsy technique. Not that Kyle had been much better. Though at least he'd shown willingness to learn. Liv? I mused aloud. Cute name. Evan instantly went on high alert. Leave her out of this. She knows nothing. Amused. I tilted my head. What exactly do you think I'll do to her? His gaze suddenly locked onto something behind me. Face draining of color. Following his stare, I spotted a pair of Calvin Klein briefs peeking from the Beilifeng sofa cushions, silent witness to our entire confrontation. As the saying goes, absurdity breeds laughter. When Evan finally met my eyes again, he found me smirking. The man who'd kept 3 feet between us all morning abruptly closed the distance. Maddie, are you this desperate? He hissed. Because I didn't come crawling back for a month. You'd lower yourself to sleeping with trash like that? I wanted to defend Kyle, but couldn't. He was exactly that kind of man. The always principled, poverty-stricken campus heartthrob actually looked tearful now. Do you have any idea how filthy those guys are? Evan shouted, grabbing my wrist with unprecedented roughness, as if worried I'd contracted some disease. A glass shattered on the floor. Secretary Wang knocked. Ms. Harrison. Shall I enter? Evan kept ranting. Maddie. If this is some twisted ploy to make me jealous, come in. I called out clearly. Secretary Wang entered with 2 6'3" bodyguards who immediately separated Evan and me, flanking Evan to prevent sudden movements. Evan stared at me with disbelief as I smirked. Who said you could speak to me like that? Perhaps I'd been too lenient as his patron, blurring the lines between us. His face paled, unprepared for my sharp tone. We're equals, he began. Spare me. I cut him off. If we're so equal, where's my $30,000 monthly allowance? His silence spoke volumes. I arched an eyebrow. You took the money but failed to deliver. His eyes widened at my bluntness. I strode out without glancing back. Hearing Secretary Wang retrieve my private elevator access card from Evan. Mr. Thompson, she stated coolly. Schedule appointments before approaching Maddie hereafter. I never bought Kyle property, he'd simply moved into my estate. 2 months later, I lay exhausted while Kyle lit my cigar. Let's get you into Hollywood, I suggested. Instead of his usual enthusiasm, he kissed me slowly, making me shiver. Thanks, babe, he murmured against my lips. But let's wait, I want more time with you. I needed oxygen. 2 months earlier, he'd been desperate for this chance. When I'd offered the $30,000 a month card, he'd shocked me by refusing. Don't want your money, babe, he'd said, eyes gleaming. Just your influence. Clever boy, understanding leverage over handouts. He'd hit the jackpot. While tech moguls and real estate tycoons floundered in entertainment circles, the Harrison family owned one of Hollywood's big 3 agencies. My offhand will see now haunted me as my cigar tumbled onto the rug. Reaching for it, my blanket slipped. Before I could react, Kyle's warm palm replaced the fabric against my skin. Babe. His kiss deepened as my unspoken regret mingled with cigar smoke. I stopped Kyle's movement. He pouted, looking at me with confusion. I forced an awkward laugh, trying to change the subject. Don't you have anything better to do? He'd been camped out at my place for 2 whole months, either working out in the home gym or studying in the media room. I almost asked why he wasn't attending school, then remembered he's the type who skips classes. After several seconds of mental scrambling, I found an excuse. Don't you need maintenance appointments for, you know? My gesture vaguely encompassed his face. Kyle rubbed his cheekbone with theatrical offense. Everything's 100% real. Maddie! Here, he grabbed my hand, pressing it against his aquiline nose, then dragging my fingertips across his Cupid's bow lips before sliding them down his sculpted chest and abs. I snatched my hand back. Okay. I believe you. No more demonstrations. The realization hit me, this spoiled brat had discovered more entertaining pursuits than chasing fame. While Hollywood could wait, Apparently seducing his sister's best friend couldn't. Not ideal. Especially with my assistant giving me those another all-nighter with the boy toy. Looks lately. Patting Kyle's bicep like it was a problematic pet. I announced. We're meeting 3 producers tonight. At the evening mixer. I introduced Kyle to Lucas Mitchell, a rom-com director. Lucas played along with the nepotism game. Any brother of Madison Harrison gets VIP treatment from me. What's your major? Kid? Sophomore at USC. Kyle answered smoothly. I choked on my champagne. You're 19? His wink carried filthy implications. Legal. Cringe. I let the community college dropout keep his fabricated Ivy League fantasy. During the audition simulation, Lucas assigned Kyle the role of an obsessive hotel heir who traps his love interest. The scene required smoldering intensity during a confrontation, followed by receiving a rejection slap. As the stand-in actress, I sat rigidly on the velvet couch while Kyle dropped to his knees between my legs. The moment Lucas called action, Kyle's puppy dog demeanor evaporated. His hazel eyes darkened to Hunter's amber, calloused fingers tangling in my hair to force eye contact. Why him? His thumb brushed my jawline with deceptive tenderness. Am I not enough? I stayed statue still per director instructions. Yet somehow Kyle reacted as if I'd spoken. His grip tightened painfully before he released me with a bitter laugh, cheek automatically tilting as if anticipating the scripted slap. The raw hunger in his expression made my breath catch. This wasn't acting anymore. His jaw tightened as he let out a cold laugh. Closing in on me. Maddie. I can please you better than him. Can't I? If you see him again, I'll lock you up. He whispered, cradling my face with barely contained jealousy. Director Lucas Mitchell said Kyle overacted during the screen test. Too theatrical. Comes off more like a homewrecker than a tycoon. But his looks compensate for it. The day before filming started, I deadbolt my door against him. Sis. I just want to repay you. His muffled voice pleaded through the wood. Thank you for giving me this break in Hollywood. I pressed my forehead against the cool surface. If you really want to thank me, let me have peace tonight. Kyle's whine turned petulant. But I'm leaving for location shooting tomorrow. 3 whole months without seeing you. When I maintained silence, his footsteps eventually retreated. 3 hours later, I cracked the door open. Kyle tumbled backward into my apartment, still clutching his pillow from where he'd been leaning against my door. Before I could react, he darted past me and sprawled across my bed. Just sleeping, he promised, already burrowing under the comforter. To my surprise, he kept his word, no wandering hands when I reluctantly joined him. Just warm arms locked around my waist like an overgrown koala. At dawn, my driver came to collect him for the airport. As the engine idled, Kyle suddenly yanked my silk nightgown over my head. I barely had time to gasp before he stuffed the garment into his carry-on. Come visit, he murmured against my forehead before disappearing into the town car. I fell back asleep clutching the residual warmth where he'd lain. The care package arrived 4 weeks later. I'd ignored his 17 calls and 36 texts, though I'd occasionally answer when bored between meetings. The stuffed bear inside looked like a carnival prize, garish rainbow fur with lopsided button eyes. Childish. Tacky. Yet inexplicably precious as my first romantic gift. Evan never bothered with such gestures. I remembered last Valentine's Day at Per Se. Sliding the Patek Philippe across the table. Got anything for me? I'd asked. Swirling my Bordeaux. His smile never reached his cold gray eyes. What could you possibly need from me? The diamond cufflinks I'd gifted him glinted as he adjusted his sleeves. You already own everything. Secretary Wang mentioned that a while ago. Evan's father hit his mother again, and she came to school asking him for money. I sympathized with his situation and didn't press him about his poor attitude. 2 teddy bear eyes stared at me, like Kyle would. It snapped me out of my memories. This bear looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place the brand no matter how long I studied it. Its gaze made me feel strangely guilty. Guilty for not visiting the filming location earlier. Just as I debated whether to go, Evan called. How unusual. Unlike Kyle, who calls 3 times daily, Evan rarely initiates contact. I answered without speaking. The silence stretched between us. When he realized I wouldn't speak first, Evan finally said, "I received your apology. Let's get back together." Confused, I glanced at my desk calendar and understood. Today was Evan's birthday. All those luxury brands sending gifts? My doing. Of course. That restaurant from last time. He continued. I really liked it. Let's have dinner there tonight with some lab mates from my research group. I forgot to tell Secretary Wong to cancel the orders. I interrupted. What? Consider those gifts your severance package. Our last meeting had been too chaotic to properly end things. I don't have time for his breakup to make up games anyway. Our relationship wasn't even enjoyable. A terrible investment. But I'm a classy patron, no takebacks on gifts. Live and learn. Next time I keep a toy boy, I'll set clearer financial boundaries. Too much generosity makes them delusional. You're still jealous, aren't you, Maddie? Evan pressed. Or is that man interfering? I'm telling you, he's only after your money. Suddenly I recognized the bear's fabric. Kyle's limited edition pajamas. He turned them into a stuffed animal? I picked up the bear, examining uneven stitches and poorly hidden knots. Did Kyle sew this himself? Interesting. Evan kept talking. I hung up mid-sentence, instructing Secretary Wong to prepare for my visit to the film set. My private jet landed smoothly. The black SUV delivered me directly to the production lot. Perfect timing. Kyle Bennett was filming a scene with the female lead. His eyes brimmed with convincing tenderness, delivering the performance flawlessly. The actress seemed to be another industry plant with zero acting skills. She kept flubbing her lines 3 times just from staring at Kyle's face, cheeks flushing crimson as she avoided eye contact. Kyle patiently encouraged her to take her time. A crew member beside me whispered excitedly, "They've got such electric chemistry." Kyle turned and spotted me in that moment. Truth be told, the guy could actually act. During his audition, I couldn't tell if he'd been holding back or what. He brought this villainous CEO character to life with chilling precision, much like how he played my sugar baby. That perfect blend of calculated obedience and thinly veiled adoration in his gaze had matched my fantasies exactly. Kyle dragged me into his trailer. Things escalated quickly until I shoved him away while gasping for air. When he started frantically undoing his shirt, I kicked him. "You want to use your feet instead, babe?" He panted. Sometimes his eagerness defeated the purpose. I missed the bashfulness. Noticing my lackluster response, Kyle sulkily rebut-toned his shirt. "Why'd you take so long to visit?" He whined with practiced petulance. 30% grievance and 70% performance art. "When did you arrive?" He pressed. "Right when you told the lead, 'Can't you see I'm in love with you?'" Kyle paled. "So you saw me holding her. It's all acting. I swear. I even used a body double for the kissing scenes. MS. Wong arranged everything." I traced his jawline lazily. "Any more filming today?" "Rescheduled everything once I knew you were coming." He answered hastily. "Not even A-list yet. Already pulling diva moves." I could already envision his future perpetually mid-tier with endless scandals. Kyle tentatively suggested, "Let me take you out today?" He massaged my feet while babbling. "Tired? We could catch a movie first." So we did the whole basic couple routine, private theater booked by MS. Wong. Aimless street wandering with security detail trailing 100 meters behind. Perfunctory golfing. Finally returning to the suite. Kyle removed my makeup and ran my bath, though there was barely anything to remove beyond sunscreen. He'd never dare complain. My money bought his compliance. This was the perk of sugar dating over real relationships. I could fully be myself. Take what I needed without considering his feelings. Kyle embraced me from behind, breath hot against my neck. Babe. I closed my eyes. I don't want to. Kyle nuzzled against my neck, whining. Please. Maddie. It's been a month already. I'm about to explode. His pestering was driving me crazy. Just as I felt myself getting lightheaded, I jolted awake. Wait. This feels kinda like we're dating? Can't let this happen. Maybe I should try the steel wool trick another day. The period drama Eternal Love in 8 Lifetimes that Kyle starred in finally aired. The show flopped hard. But against all odds, Kyle became an overnight sensation. Honestly, that caught me completely off guard. Kyle suddenly got swamped with endorsement deals and variety show appearances. Fans gushed over his sharp features whenever his surgically enhanced face popped up on screen. The guy had this naturally rakish look, but his styling team went full on modest, buttoning his shirts all the way up, zipping hoodies to his chin. The whole package was carefully crafted by his PR team, rich kid slumming it in showbiz. Surprisingly, no former classmates or factory co-workers from his past came forward to expose him yet. I called Secretary Wong to stay on standby for suppressing Kyle's potential scandals. Leaving work that evening, I bumped into Evan. I gave him a once-over, clearly not a coincidence. Evan looked exhausted, but his gaze held unusual tenderness today. Madison, he said, ears turning pink. I don't know why, but these past few months, I keep thinking about you. I knew exactly why. Mental files flipped open. Liv was Evan's academic junior. When Secretary Wong first briefed me, I'd snorted at the mentorship lineage title. We're not in some martial arts novel here. Having studied abroad, I never quite grasped these hierarchical academic circles. Students in Evan's lab got work like dogs. Liv frequently asked him for help, and they gradually became close platonically, until last Valentine's. That's when Liv suddenly set her sights on Evan. Unlike my money-throwing approach or Amber's blunt confessions, Liv played the game smart. Secretary Wong mentioned she'd taken some pricey crush-catching masterclass. I immediately enrolled Amber too. That girl believes in pure romance but strikes out every time. The real question was why Liv targeted Evan. The answer glinted on his wrist, the Rolex Ice Blue Daytona I'd gifted last Valentine's. Liv's fishing expedition paid off big time. Evan's been bankrolling her ever since. My money. The words made me laugh bitterly. Ever since Evan and I split, luxury brands had stopped sending him seasonal gifts. Most of what he'd taken from me went to paying off his family's debts. Those designer clothes? He'd long since gifted them to roommates, classmates, and lab partners, especially Liv. He'd always treated my gifts with contempt, calling them capitalist traps even as his hands stayed outstretched. Frankly, I never cared what he did with them. Still, hearing how he distributed my Valentino blazers like Halloween candy left me momentarily speechless. Now Evan stood before me, his complexion duller than I remembered, eyebrows growing wild at the edges. The sharp scent of overworked desperation clung to him like cheap cologne. What had I ever seen in this man? Memory dragged me back to those early days. My brother and I tearing chunks from each other for control of the family empire. Dad backing him. Mom playing Switzerland. Only Amber pretended to support me, though her cheerleading meant nothing. The night everything changed, I collapsed on a Manhattan sidewalk clutching my bleeding stomach. 3 all-nighters deep into a corporate takeover. Evan nearly tripped over me with his Uber Eats bag. Without hesitation, he canceled his delivery to rush me to Mount Sinai. Pressed against his back in that ambulance, I breathed in the comforting aroma of chicken congee from his thermal bag. When Secretary Wong handed him $1,100 cash the next morning, I saw Evan's jaw tighten. 2 years later, seated in my corner office as Harrison Group's CEO, That memory resurfaced with my midnight craving for kanji. The universe delivered him to my doorstep the very next day, tutoring calculus to the trust fund brats next door. Amber had been sobbing over her latest breakup in my penthouse for weeks. She caught me watching Evan through the window. Ice Queen CEO and the scholarship student? She nudged my ribs. That's prime Lifetime movie material. Maddie. Go get your man. But I preferred our family's traditional approach to romance. No messy emotions, just clear transactions. I started with scholarships to preserve his pride. Then a $10,000 per month tutoring gig for Amber. When she flaked, the payments became direct $30,000 deposits. His trembling hands when accepting that black Amex card almost made me reconsider. Now, stripped of the dirty money he'd pretended to hate, Evan came crawling back. How predictable. You don't miss me. I smiled coldly. You miss your allowance. Shame flashed across his face. Maddie, why do you enjoy humiliating me? I never asked for this. He spat. You pursued me. You wanted this arrangement. The vintage Patek on my wrist chimed softly. And you, I said, rising to leave, never said no. I raised an eyebrow. Do you want me to apologize? Evan froze like a chicken with its neck suddenly wrung, his eyes widening as his voice cut off abruptly. He stared at me blankly, then let out a bitter laugh after a long pause. Maddie, do you know something? Only I don't love you for your money. Before leaving, Evan slammed a photo on the table. In the grainy image, Kyle was entering a club with a woman draped in fur. I had my secretary wire $5 million to Evan's account to bury the evidence. He texted back, "Why are you still cleaning up his mess?" I tapped my cigarette ash calmly. Because I'd always known what kind of man Kyle was. This sugar baby arrangement worked perfectly. He kept me satisfied in bed. His past lovers meant nothing to me. But Evan couldn't accept this. He blocked my secretary's number. The photo surfaced online the next day, trending within hours. Kyle had recently blown up as the industry's new darling. As stans loved to say, he'd stolen thunder from half the rising stars. Trolls swarmed like piranhas at the first whiff of scandal. The steak sizzled in butter when Kyle returned. The aroma of seared ribeye filled the kitchen. The range hood humming softly. Perfect Maillard reaction crusting the surface. He circled his arms around my waist from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder like a repentant golden retriever. Maddie, you saw it. Didn't you? My breath hitched. I doubted the photo's authenticity at first. But my secretary confirmed it wasn't doctored. The envelope had arrived at Evan's office anonymously. Kyle swore I was his first sugar mommy. His initial clumsy attempts in bed had seemed too genuine to fake. My secretary's background check showed he'd only arrived in the city last year. No records of prior arrangements. Until now. I didn't mean to lie. Babe. His guilty murmur confirmed everything. I inhaled deeply. The charred beef scent suddenly nauseating. Let's eat first. Sliding out of his embrace, I left him standing frozen with arms still outstretched like a forgotten sculpture. Sis. Are you upset with me? I shook my head. No. Just feel unclean. Kyle's pupils contracted abruptly. He stared at me blankly. Sis. What did you just? I calmly sliced my steak. The online rumors. I've already had Secretary Wong handle it. 2 bites into my meal, Kyle suddenly threw me over his shoulder. My barely swallowed dinner threatened to resurface. How could you call me dirty? How? His voice cracked even as he marched upstairs with me dangling like a sack of potatoes. I'm different. Never went to those gross parties. Always kept myself pure. Kyle. My sharp tone halted his rambling. Put me down. He sniffled but kept moving, depositing me on the bedroom mattress. Slap. My palm connected with his cheek. He blinked. then nuzzled against my stinging hand. Does it hurt? Let me kiss it better. The tabloid's darling now sported a crimson handprint, his peach blossom eyes glistening with tears. I knew damn well he'd have another sugar daddy lined up before my nail polish dried. Sis. After last time, I asked Secretary Wang about those pills. He yanked off his hoodie, revealing abs that had broken the internet. Took 2 already. I kicked his sculpted abdomen. I need to eat first. My hunger roared with fury. I'm starving. Kyle studied my face, shoulders slumping as he collapsed onto the edge of the bed. Fine. I'll wait. The steak tasted off tonight. Same Australian air freight cut as yesterday. Yet the flavor soured on my tongue. Memories surfaced of Evan standing me up repeatedly. Back then, I'd shrugged it off, too busy climbing the corporate ladder. But tonight, the anger burned. Why keep indulging spoiled brats? First Evan, now Kyle. 3 urgent voice messages from Amber lit up my phone. Mom's forcing me into an arranged marriage. I won't marry some stranger. I refuse to live wealthy but loveless. Don't want to become some puppet bride. Losing my soul to become society's walking corpse. I ignored the onslaught. Let the notifications pile up. Dozens of unplayed voice messages blinked on my phone. I'd ignored them all. It was nearly 10 p.m. when I finally left my home office. Finding a human-shaped lump trembling beneath the bedroom duvet. Kyle had cocooned himself in blankets. Tear-streaked face peeking out like a crumpled tissue. Even with snot glistening above his quivering lips. The bastard still looked unfairly photogenic, the kind of raw vulnerability that'd make plastic surgery conspiracy theorists eat their words. I reached to ruffle his sleep-mussed hair. He seized the opening like a feral kitten, dragging me into a chokehold embrace. Stop that. I shoved his damp face away, only for him to start pawing at my sweatpants between hiccuping sobs. The boy multitasked like his life depended on it. Dawn found me chain-smoking by floor-to-ceiling windows, watching sunrise gild the oak grove beyond. Kyle's tear-drowned form lay motionless on rumpled sheets. Birdsong drilled into my hangover as a sleep-slurred murmur broke through. Maddie. I leaned closer. Feels amazing, he mumbled into his pillow. My morning run drowned out his final drowsy whisper. Didn't hear the love you that followed. 4 weeks later. My assistant's panicked voice crackled through the intercom. Madison Harrison? Kyle is. Didn't I order his keycard revoked? I massaged my temples. He cloned 6 copies. Call security. He's at your door right n. The mahogany panel swung open. Kyle stood framed in the doorway. Every inch the tragic hero with his artfully disheveled hair and freshly shaved jaw. Would have been a magazine spread moment if not for the manic gleam in his bloodshot eyes. I drummed my Mont Blanc against the desk. Want more severance pay? His laugh cracked like dropped porcelain. Maddie, is that really all I am to you? When I didn't answer, he gripped the doorframe until his knuckles bleached. Tell me what I did wrong. Memory flashed to that final morning, his sleep-warm hands reaching as I laced up running shoes. The breakup dropping like a guillotine blade between kisses. Truth was, I didn't have an answer then either. Kyle jolted awake. Sis, was I not good enough last night? I shook my head. I'm just bored. Kyle. His playful finger twining around mine froze mid-motion. Leaving him with my secretary will contact you. I walked out. Later. Kyle kept showing up at my penthouse. I knew he wouldn't take this lying down. When he demanded answers that morning after my jog, I suddenly lost all patience. Since when did flings require explanations? Even relationships get ghosted these days. I wanted someone new. My gaze swept over his chiseled features, even more striking after professional stylists worked their magic. That Eurasian look could melt panties. Kyle. I said, tracing his jawline. I chose you over Evan because you understood the rules. The silence stretched between us. Be smart. Take the check and walk away clean. My Louboutins clicked across marble floors. What if I refuse? His familiar citrus shampoo scent enveloped me as he closed the distance. When his lips crashed against mine, the slap echoed through the penthouse. Who said you could kiss me? My voice dropped to Arctic levels. Know your place, Kyle. He laughed bitterly, then kissed me with bruising force, all tongue and teeth and messy desperation. When he stormed out, I sat stunned, lipstick smeared across trembling fingers. Amber brought her deadbeat boyfriend to my Hamptons estate. He's between jobs right now. But wait till you see his coding skills. She gushed. The tech market's brutal these days. They proceeded to turn my guest house into their personal soap opera set. The same moocher later tried hitting on my masseuse. Amber went full Jerry Springer on him. The passenger seat's mine, she shrieked during one meltdown. Can't you see that intern's throwing herself at you? They made up. Of course. I snorted into my champagne. 3 days later, another breakup text lit up my phone. Amber Harrison walked into my office with puffy red eyes, her voice trembling as she said, "This time it's really over." I didn't believe her. Seriously. I mean it this time. I caught him kissing another woman. I stayed silent. Amber said, "Maddie, I'm going home for the arranged marriage." I set down my documents, raising an eyebrow. Your future husband won't just kiss other women, he'll sleep with them too. You can tolerate that? Amber nodded without hesitation. Sure. It's not like I'll love him anyway. Amber said, "Maddie, your coffee's spilling." Amber said, "Maddie, are you okay?" I snapped back to reality. The coffee had spilled across the ugly teddy bear sitting on my desk. That night, Kyle's scandal with a top actress trended everywhere. Paparazzi shots showed them entering the same luxury apartment. I flipped my phone face down. Didn't need to see more. Finally understood why Evan's flirtations never bothered me. But Kyle's past with his sugar mommy made me sick. Why couldn't I keep pretending with Kyle? Because I actually wanted this to last. Too bad reality's a bitch. He saw me as his meal ticket while I stupidly imagined us as equals. If this got out, Maddie would become the laughingstock of Manhattan's elite. Not happening. Amber returned from calling our mother. Scowling. Unbelievable. Mom's chosen some playboy from the Wilson family. Dropped out of Yale halfway to chase Hollywood fame. When his family cut him off, he started leeching off some cougar. Now I'm supposed to marry this trash? Most Wilson assets were overseas. Their domestic presence negligible outside Chicago. Couldn't fathom why mother switched from our original candidate to this train wreck. Next afternoon at the Pierre Hotel's private dining room, my blood froze. Kyle stood beside a woman draped in chinchilla fur. Mother's introduction echoed in my ears, Ms. Wilson and her brother, Brian. My smile turned brittle. Amber's cheeks flushed pink as she tugged my sleeve. That's the hot new actor from Netflix. Told you he'd be a man whore. Maddie? Where are you going? I need a smoke. When I returned, Amber and Brian were laughing over champagne. Our mothers had already left. He's amazing, Amber gushed. Turning to Brian, this is my sister. You should call her Maddie too. Brian's smile didn't reach his eyes as he murmured, Maddie. My heart clenched with an unfamiliar sensation. I need to use the restroom, I said, catching a familiar figure in the bathroom mirror. Kyle Bennett strolled over casually wearing an off-white cashmere sweater. His sapphire earring glinting. The whole look screamed old money, that particular brand of wealth that spends fortunes to appear effortlessly casual. Sis. Long time no see. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Going to be your brother-in-law soon. Happy for me? I brushed past him without answering. His fingers closed around my wrist. Why won't you answer? Sis? What exactly do you want me to say? I kept my voice steady despite the anger simmering beneath. Kyle chuckled darkly, abruptly changing tactics. Did I play my part well? The obedient lover? Brilliant performance. I sneered. Too good. Maybe. His thumb traced circles on my pulse point. Made you think you could discard me like yesterday's trash. That familiar touch sent unwelcome sparks through me. Just as my resolve wavered, he stepped back with mock formality. Do remember to call me brother-in-law from now on. The cloying bathroom incense worsened my headache. Meeting his gaze head on, I said, "Why wait? Brother-in-law." Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. As I turned to leave, strong arms yanked me against a broad chest. Kyle's teeth scraped my neck as he mumbled against my skin. "You actually think I give a damn about you? Brother-in-law." I gasped. "You're hurting me." He froze before biting down harder. When I shoved at his chest, his grip tightened on my hips. "Don't flatter yourself. This is purely revenge," he growled. "You think I still want you?" My phone clattered to the floor just as Amber's voice message played. "Sis. I'll leave you and your man alone. Oh. And Director Lucas wants to surprise you with a romantic gesture. Don't tell him I spilled the beans." Kyle lunged for my ringing phone. "Don't answer that." Our housekeeper's voice filled the air. "Miss? When I washed your handmade teddy bear, a diamond ring and pink love letter fell out. Should I discard them?" I arched an eyebrow at Kyle's suddenly pale face. "Throw them?" the housekeeper repeated. Brian's fingers trembled against my phone. "Don't you dare listen to," his face flushed red. After a moment, he leaned in and kissed me in defeat. "Sis. Don't throw it away." After hanging up, I turned to Brian. The guy was pouting like an upset chipmunk. "Now that you know everything, I was gonna make you chase me and beg for forgiveness. As if that'd ever happen. I've got a reputation to maintain." Brian seemed to read my mind, his expression turning sulky. "Sis. I'm punishing you." I nodded agreeably. "Sure. It's not like he dared do anything drastic." That smirk of his could have powered Vegas. "Sis. I've got a suite on the 38th floor. I didn't see sunlight for 3 days.